Well, welcome back. We're back online. This is Bill Calton speaking, and we are in Novi, Michigan. We're about to start our featured match for round 2 of the Michigan Summer Backgammon Championships. And we have 2 very strong players. Steve Sachs is a perennial giant, going back at least 20 years, maybe 30. And Richard Munitz, he may be a giant as well, I'm not sure. Certainly a well-respected player and a lot of success, winning tournaments and Masters tournaments, etc. He's also, I believe, a backgammon politician involved with the U.S. Backgammon Federation.
First one. I'm confused. What is texting?
I expect them to start shortly.
So you can text us when we can begin. You text us with me.
Do you have a match ready to go?
I'm not sure. I wanted to get this number first.
Oh, okay. So I gave introductions a minute ago.
Oh, is this? So we're live.
Yeah,
That's great.
I saw everyone sitting down.
Hi, it's Larry Shiller, voice of Backgammon with Bill Calton. We're broadcasting live from, where the heck are we?
Novi.
We're in Novi, Michigan. All the different places we travel to. If it's Tuesday, it must be. So we're here at this beautiful hotel, and the match is ready to start. I just texted Steve to let him know that he's ready to begin. And here's Rich making beer jokes, and I think we're ready to go. So Bill, I'm going to let you take over. I think I've got a second round match to play, and we love your commentary.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Do you know, did both of these players win in the first round?
So this is the second round, and so they are both winners of their first round. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, hopefully I won't have to blame
If
anyone.
you'd like to comment with me, you're welcome to. Just get up close to the computer microphone so they can hear you. Well, they're streaming and broadcasting one feature board to the internet, and I'm providing commentary for that. And we're underway. Richard opens with 5-1. That's coming down and splitting, so traditional way to play it. Steve Sachs, you're going to notice his trademark shake, and then just dump it out. And no one else, it's kind of like a patented golf swing. No one else releases it like Steve does. 5-1. Ugly roll. I think the book play is to make the anchor and nudge that guy forward. You really don't want to make the 2-point, as the 2-point is trapped 6 away by Steve's men on the 8-point, so you're fighting for a better anchor. 5-1, just come down, reinforce, and split. Small, steady improvement. If you want to talk. 6-4 is a great number. That makes an anchor on the opponent's bar point, or the amel point, as we affectionately call it around here. So many times we see amel anchor up down there and then followed up with double 5s, come around the corner. 4-1. So you could stack yet another man on the 8-point, or you could pop. Oh, I apologize. It's Steve's roll. So he's making a bid for an anchor. 5-1. This is a chance for a double tiger play, which from Michi's recent book, Opening Concepts, is where you hit 2 guys on the inside. And that's the most natural play here. Unstacks, slots the point you most want to make. Steve doesn't always hit, and even when he does, it's not game over. So Steve comes in with a 5. Both sides are over. 1-6. Ugh. At least it plays. The double tiger didn't work out like he'd hoped, but that's a textbook play. And double 2 is a good roll for Steve.
And I'm joining Bill. Watching
all right,
Rich's double 2s. I'm sorry, that's Steve Sachs's double 2s. And we've got a game here. It's pretty much a holding game. What do you think, Bill, in terms of the race? What are we looking like?
Oh, well, Richard is way down in the race. So 2-1 hits and covers. The question is, which guy do you want to hit? And you hit the guy on the best point. That makes sense.
All right, so Rich, because he's down, is willing to make both their plays. And,
yeah, you missed it. You missed a double tiger play earlier.
oh, we did already bounced from double 6 from the bar. He doesn't come in. Just too cool.
I wish I could be as excited as Larry is.
And so, those 60s hits a second check. He's on the attack, and like you mentioned, Rich is behind in the race, and so he wants to make a bold play. Steve really needs a 2 here. He's going to risk of getting doubled out. 4, I mean. He rolls that 4.
Big
and
play.
That'll
slow
back in.
Rich down.
Rich are going to play, and 3-2 is going to hit again.
Yeah, so it looks like a re-whack. It's not the most efficient re-whack, but
well,
that's
he's
still
stripping his
strategy.
6 point, and he doesn't have another, but why not? And so there's only 12 numbers that are going to hit back on that 4. Let's see if he can roll one of them. He does twice in a row. Steve rises to the occasion, and he's in a good, solid position now. Oh,
2-6. Garbage.
Rich is in trouble.
That's how you just throw them out
duplicate
there.
his 4s.
I don't think it's a matter of duplicate. It does duplicate, but it's just you don't want to dump the guy on.
twice.
You don't want to dump the guy on the 2 points. So that's all you got.
And there's double 5s. Look at this. So he's got all kinds of possibilities.
Where does that guy go?
I'll go safety
One,
with
two.
the other guy. You know, do you make your 1 point to make life difficult? Do you come? I mean, you really.
Maybe you just run around and hope you get missed. I
Oh my
guess.
gosh, he's gonna do it. He's
So that's that play has the most upside if you miss. And he was not missed. So the 1 is easy. It might be worth playing 8-6 because you really don't care if. Well, you're not going to hit with the 3. With the ace, you would hit. So yeah, I kind of like that play.
And Rich likes Bill's play. Steve Sachs.
2-1. Well, you well hit with the 1.
That's
So.
nice. That's a nice roll.
Hit.
Well, it's just hitting back and forth, hitting back.
And watching these games, you notice the players put a priority on keeping their checkers in play.
Yeah, and the dice in the cup. All right, well, my match is coming up.
All right. Good luck, Larry. Maybe we'll hopefully see you again later. 4-2. So that's another hit. And it cleans up a lot. Very strong. 5-6. Ugly roll. 5 comes in, and the only productive 6 is to hit back. No other. It doesn't look good, but there's really no other viable option. And Steve might double from the bar here. Let's see if he does. He's thinking about it. I kind of like it. He's taking a picture. He's definitely thinking about it. Lots of good things can happen here, and if he rolls and the good things happen, then Rich would be passing next turn. 4-3. Well, the 4 is easy, and I assume you slap him on the 5 point, the most important point. And he does. If he gets away with it, the game is just about over. 2-6, another horrible roll. So, does Steve have to make the 5 point first, or can he double right away? Let's see, and he's pondering it. Whether he doubles or not, you can see Steve's taking a picture. It's going to go on his computer later. Anything with an ace is really, really powerful. I would go for it, and he did. Here comes the cube, so putting the pressure on Rich right away. And Rich scoops it up. Double twos. Not the number he wanted. It looks like that's the only 11-9 is the only way to play it.
The foresights make that powerful pun over there.
So this was a big part of Rich's take, was hoping he didn't cover and hit back, but he didn't hit. So unfortunately for Rich, this is going to be a really very bloody position. So this is a big roll for both sides. If Steve can come in and hit, Rich is really going to be behind the 8 ball. And he did. 5-4 hits 2. So this is situation critical for Rich here. If he doesn't roll a 5, it's in really bad shape. And he didn't. 3-2. So this is lots of good numbers for Steve here. With all those men back, that's got to be a lot of gammons in this position too, I would think. Double 4s. Well, 1 covers, and he can't hit, so I guess he just got to safety the blots, which he's doing. The good news for Rich is if he can roll an ace here, he's going to have a viable backhand. Unfortunately for him, he didn't, so he's right back in the soup, it looks like to me. I expect Steve to hit with any 2, 3, or 5, or even an 8, because Steve doesn't want to give Rich a chance to make that second anchor. So I expect him to play 5-3 with the 2, and he does. Double 1s. What a great number. Wow. Okay, so he played it like a 3-1, and now he made that second anchor. So now this is a brand new game. Rich has a viable position here. He's got plenty of timing, which is good. That's not his favorite number, but it plays. So with the other 2, you could play 8-4, or you could come up. I'm not sure I like that play. I might have come off the opponent's bar point with that last 2. 6-3. So do you hit or not hit? That's the question. We'll let this be a lesson to us from Steve here. And the answer has to do with the player's timing. Rich has good timing already, so maybe you don't hit. On the other hand, there's some numbers maybe where Rich comes in and cracks, is an argument. And that's exactly what happened. Ace comes in and the 5 is pretty ugly. Break from the front, that's standard play. So even though Rich has timing, though, he's a little further advanced on his front game than he'd like to be. Rich is never going to be able to win until he fills in those 5 and 4 points, and that's not going to happen for a long time. So this is an interesting position. Steve is going to take a picture because it's challenging. It might be right to hit loose on the ace point, like his classic backgammon strategy. Oh, okay, that play. So if he hits, that gives Rich the chance to roll an ace, having a triple point game, and you don't want that. So the other play would be to just scoot there and not hit at all. For what it's worth, I think I like the no-hit play because I don't want to give him a chance to make that, a chance to get lucky and roll an ace and make that third anchor. So let's see what Steve does, and he did. He went ahead and played the no-hit. 3-2. Yep, coming up with the 2 is probably right, so that Steve would hit loose otherwise. So from Steve's perspective, he's just trying to come in clean and not get hit. To that end, I would have considered breaking the 8-point there, just because that's in direct contact of 3 anchors. I'm going to have to assume that Steve knows better than I on that play. But I guess Steve wants to clear him to clear him in order. So I kind of wonder if that was right though. 6-3. Well, that certainly justifies the clear him in order strategy. You use that 8-point as a landing pad. Come in cleanly. 2-1. I guess Rich might have too much timing there. I doubt it makes much of a difference on that 2-1 play. So probably not worth thinking about. Okay, he's preparing to clear. So next roll is going to be really big for Steve. If he can clear this 8-point successfully, he won't be leaving a blot for a long time. 5-4. 5 is easy. It's forced. So you could clear and leave a triple shot, or you could burn one to the ace. You burned it to the ace. Like a fine wine, no shot before it's time. That's what they say. And Rich is just going to stall, putting his men in place to aim at the critical 5 and 4 points, assuming he gets a hit later on. And 4-1. So once again, Steve has the option of burning another man or leaving a triple shot. And he's going to take a picture and study this one later. It is a tough call. You hate to, he's got all these men burned. It looks horribly ugly. On the other hand, a triple shot, probably going to get hit. 75% of the time you're going to get hit. Although Rich doesn't necessarily want to hit with a 5 or a 6 because it forces him to come off the anchor when he's not necessarily ready to do so. So yeah, whether it's right or wrong, I like that play. I challenge him right away. So, and now Rich. I wonder if Rich, is it possible that Rich should issue the hit there? It'd be pretty brave not to do that, because I guess you got to hit and just hope you're able to. Okay, so this is what Steve wanted. Comes in, ace hits, 2 pops him on the board. So this is a really big roll here for both sides. 6-4, and he flunked. So if Steve manages to cover this blot up, he might go fishing after this. 6-3, I assume you don't hit but cover instead. That's the priority in this position. So now Rich needs a 3 in the worst way, and he didn't get it. So let's see if Steve's able to mop up any extra blots here. 4-3, and he did. He picked up 2. Ouch! That's going to leave a mark. So as long as Steve doesn't get hit, that's going to be a gammon for sure. There's probably even a slight backgammon chance from a position like this. Now, some bad rolls here. He's got not a lot of flexibility. 5-1, that's a great number. It doesn't take any guys off, but it clears that 6-point, which is vitally important from Steve's point of view. 3-1, the 1 is easy. And I guess the dilemma is, if 4-1 is immediately safer, because only 6-5 would leave a shot. On the other hand, 5-2 prepares to clear, which is strategically what you want to do. So this trades leaving more bad numbers. Here you got 6-2, 5-2 leaves a shot, but you get it over with right away. And he jumped over that hurdle, so that's good news from Steve's point of view. Only one more point to clear, and it's Gammon City. So Rich is hoping for 6-1-5-1-4-1 to leave a shot. And there's one of the bad numbers, 3-1. So Rich needs an ace in the worst way, and he did not get it. So technically the right play is to hold that anchor and hope for double ones. A hell of a parlay. And it didn't happen, so I'm going to save my voice for a minute as Steve rolls onto a gammon from here. You have an opinion. All right, well, that was an exciting game. Steve scored gammon, jumps out to a big 4-0 lead to 11, or 7 away to 11 away. But there's still a lot of backgammon to be played. Rich will, since the score's a little bit lopsided, we'll already see some slight change in the strategy for both sides, where Rich will play a little bit more aggressive, trying to push for a gammon, and on the other side, Steve will play a little bit more defensively or conservatively, trying to avoid getting gammon. 5-6 comes in and anchor. That's an easy play. 5-2 looks like that. Just run it around to safety. 5-4, that's not bad. Just run it around the corner. Double fives. Good number for the race. So, is it worth making the ace point or not? Looks a little awkward making the ace. On the other hand, if you're lucky enough to get a shot, it would be an asset. That looks, structurally, that play looks more sound, hard to argue with. 4-2, making the home board point takes priority over leaving the outside block. 5-3, he's already got that point. So one option would be, 5-3's blocked, so there are no options. 13-5 is the only move. Okay, I was filming with the screen there. I missed that 6-2, but he challenged by slotting the best point. Okay, so Steve's considering whether he nudged that ace forward. Nudging the ace forward has the advantage of sort of freezing the man on Steve's ace point. So that means if Steve rolls an ace to cover, it would at least leave the 8-point open. But he doesn't, so the 6-2 looks pretty easy. Just bring two men down. Oh, I see. Well, I guess there's another option. You could make the 5-point as well. Hard to argue with this play. It makes points. Double fours can't get out. So Rich is way up in the race, but until he can get that last man out, he can't do anything with that racing advantage. So that play looks a little suspicious to me, although I don't know. I know the logic behind it is Rich is hoping that if he can pop that back man out, he's got a landing pad out there on the midpoint. but he paid a big structural concession by doing that. I'd be curious to know what the computer thought of that play. To my eyes, that looked a little off. So 5-4 points on his head. If there's, it's not ideal, but the other play is not that appealing. Okay, so Steve's let this be a lesson to me. Steve really doesn't want the 2 point. The most valuable point on the board right now is the 5 point, so he doesn't want to be distracted, and that's interesting. So the 4 went to the 7, and the reason he did that is he's got maximum builder action for the 5 point, which is the most important point on the board right now. Let that be a lesson to me. 5-1, that roll doesn't count here. In other tournaments it does. 6-3. Wow. Well, it makes the 5 point, or you can play conservatively like he did. So that leaves Rich 2 numbers to him. He's got a. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so now I think Rich is kind of paying a little bit. When he shuffled those 4s inside, he may be forced to leave a blot next time. Well, that's a fantastic roll, right? Three of them make the 5 point, and then you got 1 more, and that's all you got. So if Rich doesn't hit this, he might be looking at a cube. He did hit it. 1 comes down. 1 hit, 5 come down. So this will be an interesting position if Steve dances. He didn't dance. In fact, that was a hell of a roll. 5 came in and the 6 hit. 3-5. So this looks like a double and a pass to me. Steve's considering it. So even though Rich is way up in the race, it's very hard to win the race from there. As soon as you roll a 6, you just get pounced on. And another point for Steve. That makes it 5-0, or 6 away, 11 away. Just consulted my match equity chart here, and what that does is for players who don't know, that estimates winning chances for both players, assuming they're evenly matched, and that puts Steve's winning chances at this match at roughly 75-25. So that 5-0 lead is pretty significant. I wonder that play feels a little wimpy to me. I would think that 13-11 is mandatory, and probably 24-22, because especially given the score. In my opinion, Rich should be making offensive-minded plays so that he can send the cube early in order to try to mix it up and get lucky and score a gammon. So, to my mind, although I don't have the computer in front of me, to my mind, 24-20 was too conservative of a play. 6-4, that comes around the corner and hits a great number. And if Steve doesn't roll well here, he could be looking at a cube. 4-1. So my guess is this would be a double, especially considering the score. But Rich isn't considering it. From his perspective, a lot of good things can happen. You're going to hit here, and from Rich's point of view, you'd love to have the cube on 2 from this position. So I'm guessing that that last position was definitely a double. 2-5. 2-5. So now it's definitely a pass. From Rich's point of view, if he doubled, Steve is passing all day long, all day strong. The only question is he too good? Rich judged that he wasn't, so Steve passed right away. He doesn't want any part of that game. So now it's 5-1 or 6 away, 10 away.
We've been doing all the
And that increased his winning chances. So now it's roughly Steve would be roughly 70% to 30% favorite to win the match from here.
Yeah.
6-5 to start. The lover's leap,
Some of
as
the
that's
other
called.
scenarios better than the one we played.
6-3, come up and down. That's a classical way to play it. When one man's escaped, you're looking to try to make an anchor. Rich doesn't mind getting hit here. As exchange of hits would favor him. 3-2 doesn't do much. So now that gives a lot of good rolls for Rich. Any 6 makes the anchor. A lot of other numbers make a homeboard point. Double 2s gives him options. Could make an option. Okay, I kind of like that. So he's playing big. Going for the offense. 6-4. So Steve has the option. One option is to make the 2-point, which is the downside of leaving Richard the whole roll to do something good. The other play hits and comes down. This has the downside that it leaves 2 blots hanging. And Rich has a decent likelihood of hitting back, but he didn't. 3-1's sort of a dud as far as the number goes. He's sheepishly. Oh, that's a nice play. The ace. Steve had 11 men on the offensive zone, so even though the ace point's a bad anchor, he went ahead and grabbed it. And there was some 4 duplication there too. But any 4 that hit, a lot of those 4s also made a homeboard point. Double 1s is a good number. It makes an instant prime of the zone. Now, do you split with the last one or not? Probably you do, I would think, with the last ace. But no, he doesn't. He's totally offensive minded. So he nudged that ace forward, which eyeballs the 3-point as the next good point to make. And it also could just be made by itself. Okay, so that's an instructive play. Steve nudges it up the ace. That gives him the 6 as a doorway out. 3-5, hell of a roll. Hits on the outside. Once again, if Steve doesn't roll well, he could be looking at a cube here. And he didn't. He bounced. So I would... my gut tells me this is a double for sure, and I'm not sure whether it's a take or not. Let's send the cube and put the pressure on Steve. Let's see what Rich thinks. Looks like by watching his eyes, looks like he's doing some pip counting. That's always good to know where you stand in the race. I should be doing that too, but it's going to distract me too much. Pip counting is not my forte. But this just looks like a doubling position. This is exactly what you want from Mitch's point of view. A position where you have the advantage and it's gammonish. And there we go. He's reached for the cube. So now it puts the pressure on Steve. And let's see, he's reaching for the camera, so he's definitely a great cube. Steve doesn't know what to do, so he's not sure anyway. He'll be analyzing this one later. And I'm not sure either. This is one of those ones where, especially because of the score, Steve might be inclined to just give up 1 point and not risk losing 4 points. Of course, Steve definitely has winning chances, right? I mean, if he can anchor back there, he's got a nice offensive position, a little 4 block. And this is probably the most important decision of the game so far for Steve, so it makes sense that he took some time here. Steve being the world-class player that it is, you can't intimidate him. You can't bully him for now. Double 5s, that's a hell of a number. That's, if you're going to get a double in the take, that's exactly the number that you want. Just blow him away. So now the strategy is to I think you want to focus all offense here and just try to close them out. So to that end, I would bring one down for sure. There was an argument that the 11-6 could have been the other one to bring another diversified builder in play. 2-6 dancing. That's situation critical for Steve here. 6-4 doesn't make a point, but lots of ways to bring new men into the battlefield. So now you can see it's 14 against 2 on the offensive side of the board. Those are heavy odds for Steve. Three, 6. Well, that guy's not going to last long. Any number that hits, he's going to hit. 4-2. The 4 is easy. That's a whack. And now the 2, you got some possibilities. Okay, I guess he figured you got 5, 6s, 7s, and 8s. That's enough. So let's nudge the 2 forward so that you can get out. Certainly logical. Uh-oh. Oh no, 3-6. That's a big roll for Steve. That keeps hope alive. 3-5. Easy number. 3 comes in. The 5 re-whacks. For all the viewers at home, the top priority right now, the battle's around that 3 point. That's the most important point on the board. So you have to hit and hope to conquer that point. 3-6. Well, Steve's a competitor. That's 3 3s in a row that he's rolled. That's clutch rolling. Not only playing like a giant, but rolling like a giant right now. 4 comes up. And now at this point, so Rich is pausing a little bit, and I think he's kind of hedging his bets here, because now if Steve comes in with a 3, he wants to retain some defensive chances here. 2-5, that's a dance, so that Rich is going to go right back onto the attack. Any 5, 6, or 8 is going to be a hit. Double 1s, that's a shift. That puts him back on the bar, and then you got 2 more. So I have no idea how to play this one. The balls out way to play would be 8-7 and 11-10. He kind of went. I don't know. It might have been worthwhile to go more offense there. I don't know. Tough play. So if he'd have made it the other play, that guy on the 11 point would be sitting on the 10, and he'd have a direct 6 to smash also. 3 is easy. That's a hit. Now the 1, you got a lot of options. You could play 11-10 to give yourself a 6. You could play 5-4, which kind of does the same thing. You could push the ace up on that anchor in the back, but I don't think that's so critical at this point. So in my mind, the choice would be between 11-10 and 5-4. Either of those plays look viable to me. 11-10. Big pressure on Steve to roll a 4 here as he's back in Gammon Town. And he bounced, double 3s. So now this Rich is probably in the driver's seat here. 6-2. 6 is easy. That's a cover. And the 2, I don't have it's certainly logical. I don't know what the right 2 is. Okay, so now, whoa, holy smokes, double 1, that's a game changer. So now we have sort of a prime versus prime going on. Rich has the better prime for the minute, but he's out of time. So if he doesn't roll a 5 or a 6, he might have to crack it down a little. So I guess this last ace, the debate is, is there any difference in the number of shots? So if you come closer with 12-11, you're getting hit on 6-1, 6-2, 5-2. And if you come down, all right, well, that's already done. So it looks like certainly a logical play. 6-2, what a shot, he got hit. Well, that puts Steve back in severe danger again. Still, as bad as Steve's position is here, he's going to retain winning chances all the way to the 5 is mandatory to come out. He's going to retain winning chances all the way to the end because he's going to stick on that ace point. And if Steve ever does hit a shot, he has a strong containment already in place. The downside, of course, is if Steve dances for a while, there's some severe gammon danger if he stays up for a few rolls. 6-3, 6 comes out, and it comes the 3 closer. These duplicating aces there, so that's the technical play where he gets hit less often. So only double 1 and 1-3 hits, as opposed to another way would have been 1-3 and 1-4, 4 hits instead of 3. 1-2. While the ace is good, it doesn't hit, but being in is better than being out as far as probably both winning the game and getting not gammoned either. 5-1. Okay. So that's going to be at least one blot's going to be open, no matter how you play it here. So if you play it this way, you're going to get hit. You're going to get it on any ace plus 6-2 and boxes, and it's done. I guess duplicates the ace. Got an ace to hit, an ace to cover. 5-4 doesn't do anything. But the good news from Steve's point of view, even though he didn't hit, being in rather than being out, it's going to get him gammoned a lot less because he has more playing checkers on the board gets him closer to getting off the gammon. Now, stepping out with the 6 is probably too dangerous. And, yeah, he doesn't do it. 6-2. So if Steve's fortunate enough to roll 6-1 again, he'll hit this time for sure. Double 4, so that's pretty good. Still plays. And oh yeah, I'm good.
I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
Last time I took it to the bathroom, I dropped my phone and I had to go get some sanitaries and all that. I know. I hate bathroom floor.
All right, so Steve would like to roll a 6 now in order to preserve his board. But that's pretty good too. Double 3s. So I guess you probably just clear the 6 point. That's the safest play. There is, you could argue playing 5-2, but you really don't want to put men deep. So now at least that's a very nice safe structure for Rich. He won't be leaving a shot for a long time. Double 6s, 2 got to come out for sure. Those are the 3 that are forced, and think about the last one. And it looks like Steve is just giving up the ghost here, so he feels fortunate to just get off the gammon, essentially. And, well, double 5s is a big play. I guess that you keep rolling like that, you could get a G-ball maybe. But I'm going to go ahead and rest my voice here while this runs out.
should say that. The terrace left.
Okay, so it's official. Now now we have 6 away, 8 away, or 5 to 3 to 11. And checking my match charts, that gives Steve roughly 62% winning chances. So Rich's the match is much more balanced than it was earlier when it was 5-0. Both sides open with 5-1. The race being exactly even. 6-4. Points on his head. That's an easy one. 3-6. Nothing really else to do with that. Just run out. 5-1. 5-3. That's a good number. Points on his head. Well, I guess it also links up on the outside, but to my mind, pointing out on the head takes priority. I'd be curious to see the computer evaluation on that one. And, for what it's worth, that feels like a mistake to me. But I guess Rich's logic is I'm up on the race. I want to race, so I don't need to hit the man there. Still, it seems pretty likely that you're going to leave shots. So I don't know. The one obvious play would be to slot 2, but on the one hand, it's likely that there's a number of rolls where you're going to get Steve's going to have a lot to shoot at. So maybe you don't want to be double slotted. That's another play. That play strives to make the best anchor. But for my money, I guess that's the most. He's counting the race, I suppose, to see, checking to see how far he's down. And that's what he played. Okay, well, that didn't pay off. I guess the good news is that it didn't lose too much on that. 4-6, 4 is easy. Yeah, probably pull the 6 down and hope to make an anchor down there. Lots of good numbers for Rich here. 6-1, that's not one of them. 6 down, 8-7. That's a traditional way to play that. Steve would like a 2, relieve the pressure from all those 11 men. Double 3s, well, it doesn't anchor, but it relieves the pressure in a different way. Now he's got a 4-point board, so Rich has to take a little caution. So, for example, this 4-3, Rich could point on his head, but there's the danger that Steve comes in and hits back. That 4-point board essentially scared Rich into not making that play. I'm not saying the play was right or wrong. I'm just saying that was shows the power of the 4-point board that Steve had there. So the question is for Steve is, does he come forward with that ace or not? If he stays back, looks like there's a little bit of duplication of floors. I'm not sure if that's important. Could be. So stay on the point. I think a little bit of floor duplication there, plus you're on the point he doesn't want to make. 4-1's a little bit of an ugly number. You could pick and pass, but like 8-4 hitting and then 4-3. The downside of that is there's a lot of numbers that hit back. Any number that comes in plus a 6, 1-6, 2-6, 4-6, 5-6, that's 8 of them. Plus 5-3, that's 10, and double 4s, that's 11 numbers that hit back. That's a lot. He doesn't have to hit. He could play like 6-1 and not leave any hits at all. So I assume he's counting the shots like we just did a second ago, trying to weigh that whether that risk is worth it or not. The other play is 6-1, not hitting, and just not a great roll, but doesn't. You never get hit with that play. So that's the obvious advantage of not hitting. It's safe. 6-3. Sort of an play. So the 3 makes the board, and that's going to keep Rich honest, I guess. And he's going to go ahead and take a chance and pop out. He's relying on the strength of that 5-point board to, unless Rich rolls really well, he's not going to hit. So he's looking at hitting and pointing. There's another play which he's not looking at, which is just bringing the 5s around, not hitting anything. I think that's, if you're checking the race, depending on what the race is, not hitting could have been a good play there. I'm not sure. So he danced. So since Steve danced, I would assume Rich is probably too good. Any 6 or 3 hits, there's a little bit of gammon action here. So I'm expecting Rich to take a roll, but let's see. Let's see what he does. Well, let's see. Any 6 or 3 hits, that's 20 numbers. Plus you got extras. You got 2-1, 5-1, 4-2. That's what, 26? I think 26 numbers that hit. So in order for that to be wrong, I'll explain later. Okay, well, that's interesting. Okay, it looks like Steve's not sure whether Rich was too good either, so he took a picture. Whoa, what the hell? Is he actually thinking about taking? I guess my judgment was way off, because Steve's actually considered taking this position. I find that shocking. So unless he's putting on an act and just pretending to think about taking, I'm going to have to assume that he's seriously considering taking this position. And if that's the case, my judgment is way off, because I was leaning towards thinking that Richard might be too good. So I'm expecting a pass here, but okay.
Can I color my dice? Oh, no, do your dice? You have to compare, but for Steve, you want to
And so Rich is almost caught all the way back up. You may recall he was down 5-0. Now it's 5-4. Oh, swapping out the dice. Okay. It's actually probably a good idea. It looks like this the blue and red might be easier to read than the black dice. 6-2. And that's the standard way to play 6-2. 5-1. Hitting 2 is wrong in that position. That's the right play. (4-2). And that makes sense. Come in and secure that asset for the 11 point out there. Hey, would you like to join us, Ray? What we're doing here is we're streaming a second round match. Both Steve and Rich won in round one, and this is going out on YouTube under the voice of Backgammon.
Right.
We're fortunate to have Ray Fogelin sitting next to us for a moment. Please feel welcome to chime in with any comment if you want. If you do, keep in mind the mic's down here, so you got to be pretty close for it to pick up. Boxes is a hell of a roll. Make an anchor and box out. That'll give you a big advantage. But there's been no hitting so far, so I imagine even though we rolled boxes, the race is probably still fairly close, especially after double twos. But I imagine you gotta pause and count the race and at least consider a cue there. I guess Steve is doing the same thing. Does he jump up? Does he jump up to the next anchor and take a picture and look at that one later? It seems like you're probably down on the race. I kind of like keeping maximum contact. Do you have an opinion on that one, Ray?
Yeah, I like keeping the 5.
Okay, we both like, for what it's worth, we both like Steve's play. Well, double 5s, that would be a game ender if that came up. 2-1, that'll keep the game going for a while.
You didn't get much on the trade-in.
You're right. And again, snuggle in like you know me if you want to be heard, because it doesn't necessarily pick your voice up too well. So, all right. That I'm considering this a victory for me. We roped excellent player Ray Fogelin and to join our commentary here. So, looks like not much is going to happen until the next double happens. I'm not really good at counting the pips real quick, but just eyeballing it looks like it's fairly close.
Well, these are 40 and those are 40, so that's pretty easy. And so Steve's up 1, and 2, 3, down 1, 5. He's down 5 at this point. White, down 5.
Okay, and then after Rich makes the play, then he would be down 11, I guess. So that's
11
fairly
on
close.
shake, not so bad.
Right, nowhere near a double. That's for sure.
Rich would just slot the 4 point.
That's what I would do. It's no need to do anything fancy here. Maybe, perhaps Rich was counting and considering whether to break the 11 point or not. 2-1 doesn't really change much. So I don't expect anything to happen until at least another point or two is cleared. 6-3 doesn't clear anything.
Negative.
Yeah, you could. I assume you don't want to break any points. You just shuffle on the inside.
Well, if you broke any points, you'd leave a shot. So he's
Well,
not
you could break the 9 point, but I doubt that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck in your match, Ray.
I don't know if you were just.
Okay, so 6-3 from Rich, and he just holds everything. Another viable play would be go ahead and break the midpoint immediately. 4-1. That looks reasonable. Seems like I haven't been keeping track of the race, but it seems like Steve's been rolling a little bit bigger than Rich, so he might actually even be ahead in the race at this point. (6-3) again. Well, this time he's forced to break the 9 point. That's the only way to play safe. So his position looks so good after those boxes, and it's kind of slowly deteriorated since then. 6-2. 6 is easy, and Rich is so weak that he decided to keep a little pressure with that midpoint there. 5-4. So if Steve had played it the other way, Rich might have just ran with that 5-4, leaving an 8 shot. 6-2 again. 2 is easy. And so is the 6. 6-5. So that's one option. All right, you could have considered breaking the 8 point and leaving no shots. This leaves This leaves all 8s except for double 2s, so 5 hitters. And that was one of the ones that missed. So now I guess Steve's probably got to reevaluate the race to decide if he's supposed to is he supposed to come forward with those 2s or not. So if he comes forward all the way, he's got 32 pips on the outside, and then another. Okay, so the pip count here, then he's got 40, 41, 43, 50, 90. I think it looks like Steve's got about 90. And Rich, on the other hand, has 22, 35, 53, 65, 75, a little 80 something. So Steve counted a lot faster than I did, but since Steve was behind, he stayed back to keep maximum contact. 6-1 plays itself. 6-1, and that's a shot time. And considering that that's instant death over here, he's leaving the least number of shots. So any two is an immediate winner if you can get it. And he missed it, 5-4. So now a tough decision for Steve. He could break the board and hold everything. And looks like that's what he did when too much action apparently if he leaves. 6-5. So the only way to play safe is to bury the builders. Five, 6, nothing to think about there. And this is most of the game's going to come on this roll right here. 4-3. From Rich's point of view, it's safe, but boy, that next turn is going to be an awful lot of shot numbers next turn. 4-3. I assume Steve will keep the contact and challenge Rich to roll something good here. A lot of bad numbers from Rich's point of view. 2-1. Well, it plays. Now I guess Steve will probably, if he rolls big, he'll just go and check the race. 4-6. There he goes. So even though Rich's, the race looks pretty close, and there's a lot of wastage. 4 is easy. 3 comes in. So funny enough, looks like Steve actually has an advantage here. Even though he's down in the race, he's going to be bearing off first. And he's even stopping to consider the cue, but definitely worth thinking about. Probably a little bit early. 2-1. Well, that's not a roll to double on. 2 and 5-4 is a lot of times that's technically right. Just to give yourself, if you roll double 4s, it takes 3 guys off. So that's what he's considering out of. Usually 5-4 is correct here. Just as a little technical thing. Once again, the swing is if he rolls double 4s, it takes 3 guys off. Rich rolls 2-1 also. So at this score, I would expect the cube action to be similar to money, roughly speaking. So the take points for both sides will be roughly 22%. Could be a little higher or a little lower. So Steve has the advantage being on roll, but it's not a doubling advantage at this point. 4-1 takes 2 guys off. The first side who rolls a double would be very happy, and it looks like it's Rich. Great roll for Rich. Now, depending what Steve rolls, he could be looking at the business end of the cube next time. 5-2. My guess is this is a double. If both sides have 10 checkers left, so at first glance you might say, well, 10 checkers, that's a 5-roll position. But it's not really a 5-roll position because Steve's doubles aren't nearly as effective. And this is another tough decision. Okay, he's going to let it go as a pass. if all the guys were on the ace and deuce for both sides, it actually wouldn't even be an initial, or no, it would be an initial double. The problem from Steve's point of view is that in order to win, he needs Rich not to roll a double and then Steve to roll a double himself. But from Steve's point of view, because he has so many guys further back on the board, only some of the doubles are really effective. Steve needs a double to take 4 men off. And I'm sure that's the reason that he passed. He doesn't have enough working doubles. So Rich has climbed the mountain all the way back. It was 5-0, and he slowly worked his way back to be 5-5. So now the winning chance would be roughly 50-50, exactly 50-50, assuming the players are equally skilled. 3-1, nice roll, makes the 5 point. 5-6, that's a nice shake for Steve. Makes the best anchor available. 4-1, not as good. So that's one possibility. The other possibility would be to shove 24-20 and try to make the best anchor on Steve's side of the board. I probably would have played that. I don't know if it's right or not, but that would have been my play. So 3 hits and the 4 comes down. Instead of playing Wimpy, and he bounces. So this is interesting. And anytime you stub your toe on a 2-point board, you got to think about the cube. And boom, there it comes, putting the pressure on. And it took very quickly. Okay, didn't even think about it. And there goes Steve, snapping another pitcher. He'll analyze that one later. So yeah, he snapped that one up really quick. Okay, so let's see what Steve rolls here. There's some punishing numbers. It doesn't punish a lot, but it does a little bit. The ace hits, and then you got a 2. Do you leave it there and play big or not? I think you do. So he's playing offensively. This puts the pressure on Rich to roll something good. And probably looking at the whole board, part of the reason you can do that was that blot in Rich's home board. That gives you a little bit of insurance in case things go bad. So now he's got the 8 and the 7 are the next 2 points he'd like to make. He's got them both slotted. Well, you could make a 5 point, but leaving a double shot seems unlikely to be right. So one play would be to make the 5 point. Another play would be 8 to 7 and slot the 5 point. Still another play would be 13 to 7 and 8 to 7, leaving an ace. Oh, and he's going for it. Wow. All right, huge roll for Rich. Oh, and he flunked. So that's interesting. I wonder what the logic is on that. I guess it puts a lot of pressure on Rich to hit or really be behind the 8 ball. So roughly 45% of the time he missed, which happened. And well, that worked like a charm from Steve's point of view. Now he's got a 5 prime. 2-1's another garbage roll from Rich's point of view. He's got to shuffle in the home board some sort of way. Who knows what the best play is? None of them look particularly appealing. So now that he's got a home board blot, I would imagine with 5-something, Steve will make a break for it. 4-6 is can't really run profitably with that one. 6-3. So that's one play. He could consider making the 5 point, maybe to try to keep Steve honest, but he didn't do that. Okay, well, double 2s, no hard decisions there. You don't have to think about running and leaving a blot. You just move them together. 5-2. So I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I guess he's trying to keep Steve honest and have him not. Oh, looks like that was just cocked, just slightly cocked on the side of the board. It's a reroll. Double 3 was the nuts, if you know that. 4-1, he'll just stall. So I guess the worst case scenario from Steve's point of view is he leaves and has to leave a single lot. But that 5-2, I'm a little skeptical about that 5-2 because you really need, from Rich's point of view, I think you need the 5 point to win. You need to get a shot, hit a shot, and contain. The 5-2 stalls once again. And 5-2 again. You got to stall once more. It's a bit ugly, but I think you got to just stuff the 5 point and hope for the best. So he's anticipating that Steve might leave a shot here, but even so, I would have still left it live. Well, here comes the shot. There's the 6, and I guess the decision is which way to leave the shot. This leaves more shots. You have more shots, but I like that play because at least he's not hitting and escaping at the same time. Although, whoa, that's a hit and escape number. That's the only way. I mean, Steve shaking his head on that one. Hell of a number from Rich's point of view. But still, as good as that number is, notice you had the open 5 points. So I don't expect to recube anytime soon. 6-2. So I don't think Rich can do anything until he closes the 5 point or gets another man out. Yeah. 1 and 2. That safety's all of lots. And eyeballing the 5 point from the distance, the logical play. 4-2. I still don't think Rich can consider a double until he gets that last man out, and he did. 6-4. Wow, great roll. So this is putting the pressure on Steve to roll something good. If he doesn't, we might possibly see a recube here. And he danced. So I expect Rich to stop and count the pips, consider his good fortune, and possibly re-whip to 4, which would really put the pressure on Steve in this position. I should be counting also, but so a lot of this will depend on what the race is. I would think if Rich is anywhere from probably like even 10 pips behind, it's probably a redouble. So my gut says this is a redouble here, but he's not doing it. He's rolling. So they'll give Steve another chance to do something good here. And let's see what happens. And 1 comes in, so that's a good roll, and that coming in might probably stave off the cube, although it depends on what the exact count is. I have to admit, I don't know what the exact count is. All right, so chance for Steve to do something good here. And double 1s, well, at least makes the board. Keep Rich honest. He won't want to get sent back. And the number is 6-2. So there's no way to play that one totally safe. I would imagine you play 11-3, which you only get hit on 6-4 that way. That's the least number of hitters. Well, you have to run, right, and hope you get missed. What else is there? 6 is easy. I checked the match equity table, and according to my notes, if this score 6 away, 6 away. The Steve's take point on a recube would be 23%, so roughly equivalent to money. This has got to be a pip counting position here. This very well could be a cube. It's going to depend on what the exact status of the race is. So let's see. See if you guys can count it quicker than me at home. Rich has 33 on the outfield, 43, 53, 59, 69, 74, 76 for Rich, according to me. And Steve has 16 and 7 is 23 plus 42 is 65, 69. So Rich is down 4 pips. That means with four pips in an even race is roughly 50-50. But you have any ace or 2 to hit. That's 45% of the numbers hit. I think I would go for it. I would send a recube here and put the pressure on Steve. It's kind of like any roll is really good for Rich at this point. Any ace or 2 hits, and the numbers that don't hit are at least big for the race. And let's think about it from Steve's point of view. So if Rich did double and any ace or 2 hits, that's roughly 55% of the numbers, after which the game is almost over. Steve might have a couple fly shots. I imagine Steve will take another pitcher where he ponders this. This will be the biggest decision of the match so far, so he may pause and consider this one for a while. So if I was right with the race count, that's a big if, by the way. Pip counting is not my strong suit. But if I was right with the race count, Rich is down 4 pips with a double shot. So a little more than half of the numbers, and it's almost lights out. Not quite. There'll be a few fly shots. So let's call it maybe 50% of the time the game's just over. So then what happens on the other 45% of the time when he doesn't hit? I guess if you figure it's roughly 50-50, maybe slightly better than 50-50, you could see how Steve has decent winning chances, and that's what happened. So looking ahead, we could unfortunately for Rich, he rolled basically a dud. So we could very easily see an 8 cube coming back to decide the match here soon. 5-4. So jumping ahead, thinking about the 8, if an 8 cube comes, Rich will have faced the decision of passing, in which case he would be down 9-5 or 2 away, 6 away. And checking my match equity chart, at 2 away, 6 away, your winning chances are roughly 20%. So if Steve gets to 80% winning chances, then that's going to be a drop for Rich. And as you approach those winning chances, like if your winning chances get into the high 70s, it's probably going to be a cube. So checking the body count here, it looks like Steve definitely has an advantage, but he's not quite there. We got a visitor walking by here. This is an exciting position here. We've got 4 cube. I think Steve is very close to sending a re-whip to 8 and putting the match on the line. Rich, forget that. Put that cube back in your pocket after double 5s. So now let's see. Rich has 10 checkers, and how many checkers does Steve have? 9, but they're 9 faraway checkers. 5-3. So it looks like this game is going to go right down to the nub. 6-5. That's the classic Steve roll. Double 2s, big number, takes 3 guys off. That's a game changer, potentially. Let's see how Rich responds. 3-2. Now I think you have to consider the cube. 4 guys versus 6. Okay, shows what I know. I'm going to see what maybe, hope we roll something good and double next time, I guess. So in order to win, Steve has to be off in 3 rolls, assuming no doubles. So I suppose that's still a long shot. 4 is easy. 5 to 2 makes sense because that covers all the point. You want to take 2 guys off, so if you only have 2 holes, that's good. On the other hand, if you play it the other way, double 5s plays better. I don't know if that's a factor. Okay. Or actually, this is if he takes 2 guys off, it could give him a recube for the last roll. So Steve needs to take 2 guys off in the worst way, any 2 guys off. 4 guys would be preferable, of course, from his point of view. 4-3. Oh, and he doesn't do it. That's going to hurt. So now he's going to need 3s or better, assuming that Rich doesn't roll a double. And he didn't. Give it an extra long shake here. Keep a little extra suspense. Here it comes. Oh, not quite. Wow, that was almost saw an 8 cube that game. Yeah, this game, it's going out on YouTube. Yeah, you're welcome to sit here and join me. You can check it out later. It'll be on YouTube. Am I missing something? Was I wrong this whole time? I thought Rich won. I thought Rich won 4 points on that game. All right, I'm a little confused. If that was only a 2-point game, everything I've said has been totally wrong. But if it was a 4 cube, then they made a mistake with the score. At any rate, looks like the players are going to take a short break. So I'm going to take a break as well. I'm glad you're joining me and watching this match. My name is Bill Calton, and we're here in Novi streaming round 2 of the Michigan Backgammon Championships. We've been watching 2 very strong players. Steve is, I believe, a top 10 giant, or at least very close. And Richard Munitz, he may be a giant. I'm not sure. If he is a giant, it's towards the top 32 or so. If not, he's very close. Very respected player. Had a lot of success over the years. I'm going to take a short break myself. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes to get the exciting conclusion of this match. And we're back. They started before I did. And okay, looks like there was some confusion on that last game. Rich actually won a 4 cube rather than a 2 cube. And looks like we're honored to be joined at the moment by Dmitry Obakov. Please feel free to chime in. If you do speak, get close. The microphone's on the computer, so they won't hear you unless you're right in there.
I'm waiting for the winner of this match.
Okay.
I can stick it on a little bit.
Well, there you go. It'll probably be dinner break before you play anyway. But keep in mind, you got to get real close or else it won't.
Really?
Yeah, you gotta snuggle in like you like me here. Okay, so the cube's still in the middle. I guess.
Is it?
Yeah, you can see Larry's head there. So a lot. By the time I get a count in, because I'm slow at counting, they've already moved. So we'll just have to. I'll assume that the race is pretty close.
And likely they're not gonna miss it either. So.
Now at this score, I would have, since it's a no gammons in this position. Are the take points any different for the two sides, or is it just a money-ish take point?
Very low take point for both.
And what does very low mean?
So for the leader, take points is 20%, and for the trailer, 18%.
Okay, so if Rich wins 2 points, he wins the match. So that must be explain that part of it. And from Steve's point of view, I guess he's always going to win 4 points on the game. What did you say the take-home was?
For Steve,
Yeah,
18%.
18%. Okay, we're very lucky to have. Nobody knows these numbers more than Dimitri. It'll be easier to count once all the guys are in the home board. So White has what, 45, 50, 62, 69? And what does he have? 45, 50, 58, 62, 7 pips down, is that right? So if I was right, then that means Steve is up 2. That looks about right. Let's shift 2 there. So that would mean Steve's down 8. Maybe. And again, that assumes my other count was right. So we're still close. 2-1. Okay, well that's going to change things a little bit. So 45, 50, 52. 40, 48, 50. 1 pip, Steve, 1 pip ahead, is that all? Double ones. Okay, now we're finally getting the one that's easier for me to count. Oh, yikes. Okay, now this is a position I can actually count.
1 pip down.
Yeah, right, 1 pip down, shifting. All right, now who wants to win least here? These are not good racing rolls.
That's one
But,
play.
that's an innovative play there, 4-1.
I guess it's close either way.
So I guess his thinking is probably like if I roll a 1, I take off, and a 2 or 3 fills in the gap. But 6-5. So if Rich rolls small again, we might see a cube.
That's
Nope.
big.
No. But this one's going to go right down to the wire. 4 is easy. 2 fills in the gap. Normal standard backgammon play. 5 comes off, and we expect the 3 to fill in that.
That's
fill in
it.
that
That's
gap.
right.
6 checkers still for both sides. 3-2. Not the roll he wanted, but the roll he got.
Probably 5-3.
I think so. I don't. Yeah, I don't think you're desperate enough yet to play for big doubles yet.
No, this is many ways to win still.
Right. So we're expecting Steve to stick with 5-3, but he's just considering his options. Oh, and he didn't. He went 6-4. A little bit surprising. Oh wow.
That's gonna lose the market.
Yeah. A tough break for Rich. Right there. Right. And Steve disgustingly just throws the dice back on the table.
No rolls would make him take it. Cube, right?
No. Dropping in the dark, so to speak. All right, so now we're looking at 6-away Crawford. So at this score, Steve Backgammon would be valuable for Steve, so we expect him to play a little more aggressively than you normally would. Double ones. Two one.
It's correct, still correct to slot, I think.
That's what I wanted to ask. Dimitri's an expert on the first rolls too. Yeah. Now, can you talk about the reasoning on why it's still correct to slot?
We know that gammon save it's about equal, right? Slot and split is about equal. And here gammon costs less, So there is no reason not to do the same thing.
Well, a gammon does cost Rich more, right?
Not more than what gammon save.
Well,
Gammon save or gammon.
This
the
doesn't-
gammon costs 1 win, right?
this
And
doesn't count as gammon save. The
No,
fact
it does not.
Okay.
It's
You don't want to get gammon, but it's not gammon save.
right.
Okay.
Uh,
Maybe another way to put it is, I know, kind of ignoring the play of the game here, but back to this 6-1. Steve made the bar, and then Rich had a 2-1. So at most scores, 2-1. 2-1
at
style
most,
is correct,
at most, yeah.
Yeah. That's another way to look at it. Okay, a lot of good numbers
Well,
for
if
Steve here.
you trail in a match, I mean, if you are leading in a match and cube is in play, slot may be wrong.
Okay,
Like if you're leading by many points.
I see. Okay, so that anyway, it's probably a small detail anyway. So 3-6 is a good shot for Rich. 3-6, pretty good number for Steve too. It makes that 4-point block. So if he can put another checker behind that at some point later on, he'll be in good shape. Of course, that's optimistically speaking from Steve's point of view.
We're playing backgammon.
4-1, that comes in and hits. So that's part one of the plan. You get another checker behind that butting wall over there. 4-3. A little bit awkward. Certainly logical, trying to make
I would
that
not make that
that
play.
3 looks a little suspect. Probably just pull down.
Yes, much better, I think.
That's probably a little too wimpy, I would think. So 6-4, you could point on his head, although that's not the best number. Not the number he wanted, that's for sure.
What are the options here?
He could split and come down.
I think
Kind
I
of
would
leaves yourself.
make the point here.
Point on his head.
2 points because
That's
everything else looks ugly.
Right. So you're leaving shots anyway. Might as well put them on the bar, I guess. So if you point on his head, that gives him at least 9 bad rolls that dance, and maybe a few others.
Right, and the scorer, argues for hitting here. There you go.
So if things go well, they can go really well still. And there you go. Hey, 5-2, that pays off. So now a chance for Steve to go to work.
Just to go to work.
That's right. But he needs his dice to go to work there. So he slaps him with the 5. 6 comes down, putting heavy pressure on Rich to perform. 4-1. Well, he passed that test.
Yeah, he wants to come in and hit again if he can.
Right. Well, it's not the best coming in hit, but it's what he got, so he'll still take it. Uh-oh.
Trouble.
That's trouble from Rich's point of view. You can't ask for anything better than
Make the
that.
5 point.
Come in, hit a blot, and make the 5 point. That's almost curtains here. Steve's really behind the 8 ball now. 2-1. Oh, well, that's about the best he could hope for that position. You got an almost hopeless backgammon, but it's better than what he had before. So I guess you got a hit.
Hit and come down.
Yep, come down now. At this point, the 4 point is the most important point on the board. So
He wants to be safe. That's probably okay.
it most logical seems to come down to look at the better
Yeah,
point.
he's a little bit over too cautious.
He's worried about the whole gammon business. So yeah, you don't really have time for that ace deuce game. So that makes sense to me coming up. 2-1. Probably. Well, I don't know. Probably hit just because that guy in the 3 point sucks. Or do you figure his timing's bad already? You don't need to do anything special.
I would hit there on the deuce point.
Yeah.
23 points.
Right.
If
That my instinct was to hit.
If he rolls an ace, then he's gonna make the 23 anchor and can play same, play with with the 4-point checkers.
Right.
Uh,
So here, so I guess the question is, how bad is White's timing? So you could just leave him alone and come out. That's one option. Or you could hit.
I think I would hit here.
Do you hit and slot or just hit and
Hit
keep
and
it going?
maybe hit and lift. I don't wanna prank him.
That's a hit if he wants it. Okay, you're just trusting the back game. Oh no, the 7 was blocked. I'm totally blind here. Ricky's confusing me. So, well, we got now the excitement's really picking up. We got Ricky Griggs joining us.
I think we can leave a double shot here, but play with 1 blood. There you go.
Yeah, it'd be very hard for Steve to win going forward from here, I would think. Steve maybe not even want to hit.
I think he wants to hit still.
So I guess you hit with the 2 to keep the double anchor, probably.
Right. Yes.
So hit with the 2, and then which six do you like?
Same 6.
Keep it going. Getting a lot of background noise. I apologize for that. We're nearing the dinner break, so there's more kidbitzers in the room. If Ricky and Dimitri want to be heard, they got to really scrunch up to the computer, else they probably won't be picked up. 5, 6. That's you staggered. That's going to help Steve's cause. 5, 4. Stucky. That's a tough number, I guess. I guess you got to come. It doesn't go. So I guess you got to come off the forward 4-point. What else? Either that or you slot. You could slot. Oops. I touched the screen and I broke it. The other play would have been to stuff 2 inside. That's maybe a little too big. Okay, so now it's a different thing. I guess Steve he's got the ace point to fall back on, and he can try to win going forward. 5, 4. That's a garbage number. Unfortunately, yeah, that's right. Whereas, as it can be heard off camera, how does that dirt taste? It's 4, 3. Well, that doesn't clean up the blot, so that's another, they go matching dirt for dirt as far as
play it either.
Right. Wow, that's what a horrible number. It looks like you got to pop a second blot somehow. I don't know. Yeah. Certainly, no plays look good. It's just which play is least bad, I guess. Maybe throw this guy in, and can you duplicate a 3 somehow?
I'm not sure about it. He could have slotted this point, maybe. I don't know.
He got away with it.
Another garbage roll.
Yeah. So I guess.
What are we doing on
Let me check them out.
Really good. You gotta wait for people to relax. You're building the pocket. It's good to get there right.
There is a much.
You're heading on a box. You're heading on a box.
You guys are buying this 2-piece combo you're buying for me, right? All right, so back to the game here. Steve's got a direct 7 to hit.
Most people are finishing because.
Oh no! Death by double 5s. That's gonna really end the game. Steve managed to find his worst number, and you can see he's frustrated.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
That number was so bad, most of our people are leaving that we're watching. Oh man, that cleared the seats. They're headed for the exits. Oh man. 3 deuce. Well, do you try to win going? God, what a horrible. I'm gonna go. Okay.
Spread his legs. Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
That's out for the world.
It's all over, but the complaining, I think, for this match.
He's going to sleep.
How come this isn't a chouette?
We're doing Bill's doing live broadcasting for the. They can hear what you're saying. They can't. Yeah.
If you come close again, you got a computer microphone here. If you want to be heard, come in close.
You can do some commentary. They can see it if you get close enough.
So I guess Steve is debating, if he plays it like this, only double fours gets hit, and well, then that's true. But he's got this play. If you get away with it, this is a little smoother to come in, but it leaves 4-3 and 4-6 and 1-6. So that's 6 numbers. That's quite a bit. 6 numbers compared to 1, right? Or was there a blot back on the midpoint here? Okay, so
It would have been what, 1 shot.
So well, no, you'd have come in 3. So I kind of this makes the most sense. You get away with it, the game's almost over. Well, there you go. Right, there's someone on the outside said you got to figure in that Steve's rolling garbage anyway. So. All right, well, forced play here. The only good news is that the distro's a little odd, so Steve might get a shot later. Still a little bit of hope. Couple bad 5s. 6-1's a good number. Yep. Keep a good distribution on the back. It's going to take a miracle and a few good rolls after that to win from here, I think. There we go.
Shot. Clap it
Shot
up,
time. That's right. That's right.
I
All
think the
right.
big issue is to get off the gammon.
Well, it's it doesn't help very
Oh, it's to 11.
All right, so the winning plan starts with a hit. And it's a hit. Yay, okay. So that's how many guys did you manage to get off?
12, yeah, 3 off.
3 off. Okay. Well, now the game's entered a new phase. It's a 4-point board, so
Need to stagger 1 time.
if you're an optimist, it's still possible for Steve to close the board here.
And he
If things go well.
The first one,
So that number here, this could be an instructive moment for us lesser mortals. So that blocks anything that's 6 or less stops, and might as well make the board. All right, so he's got 6s, 11, 6, 12, and 14 to hit here. I'll be impressed if he hits with a 14. 4-1. So I guess. Do you got to kill your last builder? Well, you hate to do that, but I guess the most important thing is to try to hit that guy. So.
You gotta get a double shot here. And
Double 3s. Oh, blocky. So, all right, lots of good numbers here. They all start with a hit.
3, 7s, and 9s.
Double 6s.
Everything.
Oh. That really sucks.
That's a horrible roll right there.
Horrible. So he still probably might get one more look at him.
7s and 9s. Right
5-3. There it is. And now they got just a little ace. Yeah, the one.
Between those cheeks.
Just one little piece. All right. Well, looks like. The good news is this match will not resume after the dinner break, so we'll have a brand new match for you to watch. And stay tuned. We'll see what that match is going to be.
And this was big.
It's
You gotta ask yourself why Steve's wearing Richard's armor.
It's a 2-hour dinner break, so we're late in East time zone, so it's 5 o'clock now. The match will resume matches resume at 7 o'clock. All right, well, Steve's trying to get off the gammon, I guess, but all right.
No, are you going with us?
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks to everyone for watching. I enjoyed it, and we may have another match for you starting in